Right, good afternoon, everybody. There just doesn't seem to be many of us. A spring summer afternoon has obviously taken other people's attention. Right, so item 1 is apologies for absence, please, Mr. White.
Thank you, Leader. Good afternoon, members. We've got apologies from Councillors Mott and Bridgewater. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item 2 is declarations of interest. We all know what we're doing. Does anyone have anything to declare now? Councillor Jury, please.
Thank you, Leader. I'd like to declare a disclosable interest in respect of item 8, which is obviously part of my portfolio and I'm delivering. The interest is with regards to my work with Business Information Point, who are one of the delivery partners. So with your permission, I will deliver the report, but I won't vote on the recommendations.
Thank you very much, Councillor Jury. Anyone else? No. Okay. Items requiring urgent attention. I don't have any. Does anything change, Mr. White?
Nothing's changed. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you. Item 4 is confirmation of minutes of the meeting held on the 11th of March. I will go through them as I usually do in page order. Page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4. Just looking at the page 4 on HC 7924, an email was sent out last week with the appropriate date set out that we agreed the recommendation with regards to Tavistock and Okehampton Alcohol Public Space Protection Order. So that has been amended. So page 5, and that's it. Okay. I'll propose those minutes.
Happy to second.
Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Leader. That's approved of the minutes carried. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, if we move forward, public questions, I don't have any. There's no strangers in the room, so we clearly don't have any. So if we can move forward now to page 7 to 10 of the agenda, the Hub Committee forward plan. We have a few items of today on here that will come away. 10th of June has grown a little since we last looked, from being just one item. So we have the update to the off-street parking order, which is going through. The Wanacotts, if that's ready to come back to the next meeting, which I hope it is. The draft procurement strategy, the Tavistock neighbourhood plan, and that will be after the referendum having been conducted on the 1st of May. A leisure update, and the investment property options for the future. So does anyone else feel that we need anything else to add to there from their portfolios? No, everyone's happy? That's lovely. So thank you very much for that, everyone. Right, Councillor Jury, your turn now for the... No, it's not. I've ticked off me before we've even got there. That's really good, isn't it? Sorry about that, Councillor Jury. I knew life was going really well. Right, so year 1 council plan closure report for pages 11 to 14. The recommendation has been put up on the screen, but for those of us listening on Teams or on web page, that the Hub Committee notes the positive progress in delivering actions in the adopted council plan. I'm absolutely delighted with this report. I think all of us have worked really hard in our portfolio areas to deliver on this plan going forward, and to look at the bits that we're doing well and we can keep going forward with, but also reflecting on where some of the items just do not sit comfortably with us where we are at the moment. They may move into another year or whatever, but I think we've done really well to recognise it as a complete live living document. And that is, you know, fantastic that we can do that. This forms part of our overall performance management framework, so monitoring of progress at the monthly delivery board, comprising chief exec and senior officer team. We have regular hub lead member and lead officer meetings. I think all of you meet at least once a month, don't you, with your lead officers? So that is excellent. And the thematic deep dives to overview and scrutiny panel. We also look at the strategic risks update to the audit and governance committee. So we note the positive progress in delivery against actions in the plan, with 97% of all actions completed, which I think is excellent. There is a table on page 12 of where we are, and the couple of actions, but I think actually the neighbourhood services one, I'm not sure, no, that's not. Neighbourhood services, which one is that, Mr. Hawke, on page 12 that we're 14% behind?
So that relates to just one action, Leader.
Sorry, I've got them further down the page, haven't we?
Yes, and it's the review of our locality service. I mean, the review is well underway, but it hasn't concluded at the point of this report being prepared.
Right. May I just inquire, how much longer do you think it's going to be? Because it's been a little while now. So I know the lead officer for you from that team has not been in post for a year yet, and the rest of the team have only been in post since very late last year, the early start of this year. So how long do you see?
In terms of actual timescales, Leader, I wouldn't like to say at this point in time, but I'll certainly find out from Mr. Noyce and get an update back to members on concluding that review.
Yes, that would be very good. I think all members would appreciate that, wouldn't we? Because I don't like to see things that are just continually we are doing, but we don't see any evidence of what. So I think that we need to take that forward. And we're looking at developing and implementing a sustainable procurement strategy to secure value for money and support local businesses. The update to our procurement strategy, I assume that is in working with Teambridge. Is that what we mean? Because we do have a procurement strategy contract with Teambridge.
It is, Leader. We're certainly developing that. Rosie Wilson is our shared procurement officer who works across Teambridge, South Hams and West Devon. Yeah. And we'll be trying to align our strategies as much as possible. There might be some slight differences based on the different councils, but the core of it will be very similar.
Right, and we're looking at preparing an asset management strategy to set out how we will maximise the use of our assets. So, Mr. Shears, you're listening. Thank you. And Councillor Jury. So we move on to there. So as we can see, it's a really good report. And as I say, I'm very proud of the report, but of the members and the officers. It shows we also have good working relationships between my portfolio holders and the officers, which is really important because you just don't get as far if you can't all play nicely together, which actually is working very well, and it proves dividends for West Devon as a whole. So I'm happy to note, everyone else happy to note. Does anybody wish to say anything? Actually, I should add to that. No, you're all happy. Councillor Edmonds, I could see that little hand thinking. You tell me how marvellous we all are.
Well, it's been said before, and I'll say it again. I think, you know, the council plan has been very successful, including the delivery plan, so the management report, and I think it all fits together extremely well. It's given the council direction, and you know, I certainly find it very useful as a portfolio holder. It gives me sort of focus on what I should be, concentrating on and trying to deliver. And it's important that we maintain the managing performance, the reporting back to committees, so that our residents know where we are and what we've achieved, and what actions we're taking should we be perhaps not quite performing in some areas. So I think overall it's been hugely successful, the whole concept of a council plan, and and of course, great thanks must go to Mr. Hawke, who has been with this from day one. Has been very much his baby, if you like, and I congratulate him on the work, on what it's delivered.
Right, and I had forgotten you've all got your time, so I'm going to now go the other way to the room, and I'm going to start with Councillor Elliott, please, for her report feedback that you've all got 5-10 minutes for.
Thank you very much. I hope to keep it below 5 minutes. So just for people who are not aware of what's happening now, each portfolio member was going to just give a brief update on what's happened and what we're celebrating in the last year. So I've got 5 different items. So the first is perhaps the most important because it's supporting our residents with the cost of living crisis. And we've been able to do that using the Household Support Fund. And I'd really like to thank Mrs. Jenny Hotchkiss for all the work that she's done on that. And we've taken a strategic decision this year that we'll give some money out directly to groups that we know are in greatest need, but also still retain some of the Household Support Fund for people who approach us and need help because of some crisis point. So that's been very successful. And for example, we've been able to identify particular groups and give them a direct payment of £200 to help them with things like winter fuel payments and that side of things. So that's the first area. The second area is supporting care leavers across Devon. And I'm just going to explain what care leavers are, because I'm sure most people in this room know what a care leaver is, but when I've talked about this at the parish council, I've had lots of quizzical looks. So care leavers are young people who are making the transition into adulthood without the support of their biological family, if I can put it like that. So they're people who have been, they're children who have been looked after children and are now leaving the care system. And so we are sort of like corporate parents. And what we do is we try and find opportunities to directly support the couple of dozen care leavers that there are across West Devon. And some of the examples that we've been able to, some of the ways we've been able to help them is to remove the need for them to pay council tax up until the age of 25. We've been able to give them free leisure passes and also give them a direct payment from the Household Support Fund. So I'm really pleased that we've been able to do that. The third area of my portfolio that I want to mention is rather different because this is where we're not directly using the funding from West Devon Borough Council, but using Section 106 funding from developers to support community facilities. And there are 2 things that I'd like to highlight here. One is the new play equipment that we've been able to provide at the Bannerwell Play Park, and this was work done in conjunction with Tavistock Town Council, and also supporting the Tavistock Athletic Club with resurfacing its running track. And I was hoping to make a joke about potholes here, but then I thought I better not. So the fourth area that I'd like to mention is the Junior Life Skills Programme. So this is an important programme where we're working directly with young people, and I'd particularly like to thank Mr. Ian Luscombe and his team for taking the lead on this. And this is where we provide a day, a few days of different sort of training sessions for those in Year 6. So in old money, that's those who are leaving primary junior school and going to secondary school, and making sure that they have a fully rounded education, if I can put it like that. They're aware of sort of risks in life, so we have good collaboration with the fire service, with police, and with many other groups who come in and do very interactive activities. Now, what I'm really pleased about is that we got a good level of feedback from last year, and we've already started planning in detail for this September's Junior Life Skills programme. I'm really trying to act on the feedback that we've got, so I'd like to thank Mr Ian Luscombe for taking that forward. So that's the fourth item, and coming finally to the fifth item on my list of portfolio. We've agreed a community health and wellbeing strategy, and Mr Neil Hawke has been really instrumental in taking this forward and bringing it to fruition. So thank you to Mr Hawke. And this is a strategy that really takes account of the fact that we're part of a complex ecosystem or landscape as West Devon. We don't have a lot of funding that we can spend on community services, community wellbeing, but we do have convening power. And so the strategy talks very much to the fact that we work in collaboration with town and parish councils, with citizens' advice, with Devon communities together. And I suppose the sort of headline item here is that we're going to be making some more grant funding available to community groups in the next year. So this is both sort of looking back at the fact we've developed this very collaborative strategy and looking forward to the grants that we're going to be giving next year, and there'll be more information about that in due course. So hopefully that's a relatively brief summary of my portfolio, and very much wanted to thank the officers that have been part of that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor Elliott. Could I just make a plea to yourself and to Mr Luscombe with regard to junior life skills? I attended the event, as I have done for loads of years, and when I was in Oakhampton, there were some of the schools that hadn't made it to the event, and I think if we know of any schools in difficulties, they should perhaps let their local councillor know, because of the cost of, then they put it mostly down to the cost of transport. So I think it's really important with members with their facility grants. I know North Taunton weren't there. They're a 2-member ward. So actually it's, you know, a bit easier. Councillor Daniel, who's joined us in the room, there was one of her schools.
And I did offer them some money for my locality grant, but obviously the cost of a coach is far more than really that I would be able to use for just one event for one school. And so I wasn't able to offer enough for them to cover the cost of a coach. Because it's many hundreds of pounds now for the whole school to attend.
Yeah, I was going to then lead on that if after the county elections, if there is still the locality budget, maybe between, you know, 3 different groups, if the parish councils and the borough and the county could work with the members collaboratively to help these young people go and be able to enjoy the experience. I think that would be really good. Does anyone have any questions for Councillor Elliott? No? Thank you very much then. Councillor Moody, you're next.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Jane, for that report. It was very interesting. I've prepared a little statement here, which I shall read. As everyone will know, and for those watching, I'm the lead member for accessibility and customer engagement and, strangely, waste as well. So I cover a wide variety of issues. But the focus that we've had this year is based on, with the customer service and accessibility, we continue to deliver outstanding results with full and effective communication strategies. We use social media, the press, West Devon website. Within the IT side of life, we have call centre chatbots. We've got callback servers, which is regularly monitored and fine-tuned to improve the overall customer experience. Performance indicators are regularly monitored and is a regular item on my monthly catch-ups with officers. We've developed and modified an informative leaflet called "What Does Your Council Do?" just to explain to residents clearly the services that are service responsibilities for each of the council levels, from parish, borough and county. And this also enhances our transparency and to the residents. I'd also like to thank the community engagement officers who attend public events and take some of these leaflets around to those events, talk to members of the public, keep a record of what's been spoken about and feed back to our officers. As I say, digital communication engagement remains very strong, with about 85% of our customer transactions taking place online. Our telephone support system is equally robust, efficiently answering 91% of calls within 5 minutes. Specifically, our benefits team consistently excels, answering 93% of calls within 8 minutes. And that's all well within the national industry standards. And we're also working on new signage at Kilworthy. We have explored and we are rolling out a new signage system to significantly improve the site navigation and present a more professional appearance to visitors rather than handwritten, sticky A4 posters on the front door. As far as our waste operational performance, waste management continues to perform exceptionally well. We have a very good team, professional team, who work hard for our residents. We have seen a substantial increase in recycling rates over the last month and have maintained an impressively low rate of missed bin collections, 38 per 100,000, which is pretty damn good. And that's all to do with the way that our team is managed and also our contractors' staff perform. Our green waste subscription service is performing strongly and remains on target. The recently implemented charging strategy successfully manages increase in operational costs, clearly demonstrating that the financial prudence and strategic planning of our team. Our recent recycling campaign targeted metals and achieved notable success through engagement on social media, local press, and online advertisements. The initiative significantly boosted public awareness and participation in recycling activities. Officers have worked diligently to improve our waste transfer station, enhancing its efficiency, capacity, and to conform with changing waste regulations. We have updated the livery on our recycling vehicles, which will help to increase visibility and underscoring our environmental commitment for increasing our recycling waste. Officers are actively researching methods of decreasing the amount of food being put in black sacks, for example. Currently, on average, 25% of black sack waste is food. We recently trialled an innovative new equipment, which we went for and watched demonstrations, including advanced chewing gum and graffiti removal tools, and an electric road sweeper, which is not a push-along, a drag-along, with an operative standing behind. Rather than the barrow and the broom, it had outrider brushes. We recently, so that was and these technologies promise to significantly enhance our street cleanliness. And following the central government regulations on persistent organic pollutants, or POPs, as they're called, which are in upholstered furniture, we have actively monitored fly tipping incidents, and early compliance levels have been encouraging, thanks to the proactive management and response of our officers, who continue to maintain high standards of cleanliness and environmental safety throughout the district. And finally, I would just like to say thank you very much to all the officers that I have the pleasure of working with, from Neil right through to Sarah and other team members, Steve Molyneux, Jim Davis. I won't go through them all, otherwise I'll miss someone out. But to everybody that I've worked with, thank you very much for your help. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Moody. Does anyone have any questions? Councillor Moody? No? Councillor West, your go now.
Thank you, Chair. So my brief is climate and biodiversity. I took over from Ursula, Councillor Ursula Mann, and that's a tough act to follow when it comes down to it. And you know, she's really built well on that portfolio, and hopefully I can do half as well as what she'd done. So basically, as we know, our aim is to keep West Devon as a beautiful and as wonderful an area to live in as we all do for future generations. And obviously tackling climate change and helping to increase biodiversity within that are some of the most important things we can do. Climate, biodiversity, without those things and being aware of the changes coming up has a whole impact, not just on when we do our gardening, cutting the grass, but on how industry has to develop its future strategies to cope with situations, how we as a council have to deal with situations whereby there's excess rain, there's flooding, planning needs to take account of it. It's one of those things that really affects everybody in every aspect of their life. So I think we've managed to focus into 4 areas, all of which are important in one way or another in terms of what we're trying to achieve as a council. So the first area is our volunteer wildlife warden scheme, which was set up, and I know Councillor Mann was very well into this, so to speak, and she did a great job in setting it up. And the idea of this was to bring the communities and environmental groups, town and parish councils actually together to work, to network, to create opportunities to protect, aid and increase wildlife in each of West Devon's parishes. It's one of those things that it's early days yet, but it is an exciting scheme and hopefully will develop well in the coming year. So I look forward to see how that indeed now, I think it was launched in September, so it sort of went into the winter, so it went dormant. But hopefully now with spring and summer here, we can see big strides forward with that. The second area we set up was the use of thermal imaging camera schemes. And we did this in partnership with Tamar Energy Community. It is quite innovative. I don't know anywhere else within the South West necessarily doing this. We have 4 cameras which are being lent out to residents, and I was actually able to attend one of the initial meetings in Sheepstall, and it was well attended. And Kate from Tamar Energy showed us how to do it, and everybody had a bit of fun trying to work out what the different readings meant and all this sort of thing. It was very good. And I must admit, the uptake was brilliant. Everybody in the room was saying, yeah, we want it for a week. We want to have a go at it and that. I'll have to follow up with Kate to see if there's anything come from that. But it's really a good way of raising awareness for people in terms of their homes and that. And inevitably, in West Devon, we have such a range of homes. You have the stone built, which are good for one thing. And then you have the more modern houses, which are not as efficient as the stone buildings. It is fascinating until you actually get the camera there and begin to understand how your building works. It is really fascinating. So I wish Kate and the team well on that. The third area we've got has been reducing our carbon footprint. And we've done this in a number of ways. So we have actively sought to increase the number of charging points across the borough, and we are still actively seeking to do that in future. We've also, as Councillor Moody mentioned, we're looking to encourage people to recycle more, but we are very lucky in West Devon that we've got some of the best rates in the country when it comes down to it, and that is all credit to the hard work the team have been doing that and the systems that have been put in place. So I'd like to congratulate the people on that. And the other area within our carbon footprint is around the energy efficiency of local homes. Now, I'm pleased to see that our HUG scheme, the Home Upgrade Grant Scheme, has managed to help over 40 households in the last 12 months, 18 months. And what's even better is that we are getting more funding available over the next 3 years. So I'm hoping we can significantly increase on the number of homes we're helping within our carbon footprint and make them more energy efficient. That would be good. And finally, something which is very dear to my heart, having been a former chair of an allotment group, is the new allotment at Milton Abbott. It's really good to see this. It gives people the opportunity to grow their own flowers, plants and vegetables. And I think it's really good that this space will help, A, to reduce food miles, and B, as I know on my own allotment, it was a great opportunity. You go over there, you don't get anything done because you're too busy talking, and it comes down to it. But I must admit, the best thing for me, and as they will find, is the interaction with nature. I had some wonderful sweet corn until the deer came along and ate them. And then there were the moles. It's great, it's lovely, but it actually gives you a really good insight to how nature can impact on human activity and that. And I wish them well with that, and I hope they don't have the same problem I had with moles over the coming years. Just to finish off, again, just reiterate, we are very lucky in West Devon with the officers and people we're working with, and I thank them for all their efforts, and I look forward to continuing this portfolio and hopefully doing a lot more in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor West. Councillor Edmonds, your go.
Thank you, Leader. Well, performance and resources portfolio. I have 5 subheadings, and I'll start with finance, a very dominant part of the portfolio. Well, as I'm sure you're all aware, the finance team have done yet again an excellent job during the year. And a lot of focus around, of course, producing another balanced budget for next year, which has been achieved. So the team are an excellent team. They're extremely busy now, because obviously, you know, the year end closed down and all of that. The internal audits throughout the year have been a very good standard, with the majority being, substantial or reasonable assurance. And there's been good progress around what we call the audit tracker, where any actions raised in the internal audits are dealt with by management, and excellent progress has been made with that throughout the year. So I think that Treasury management training was organised by Lisa. That took place in March for members, and I think those that attended found that very interesting and worthwhile. So thanks to Lisa for that. So yeah, I think the reserves are at a good level, a prudent level. So we go into the new year in a sound financial position, thanks to the efforts of the finance team. I think in the next area, the really important area, of course, is HR. We can't achieve anything really without the help and expertise and commitment of the staff. So the organisational and development strategy has been updated and continues to be sort of delivered, and that's proved to be very successful in growing our staff, progressing into management, etc. So that's been really important. Annual staff survey, the results have been positive. So I think it's tough. It's really tough at times for the staff. There's always a lot to do across the 2 councils, but they've coped extremely well. There's been, on the HR side, there's been a guaranteed interview scheme for care leavers, ex-forces personnel, and candidates with disabilities. Just last week, saw 4 guaranteed interviews offered for a job with the council, which is really encouraging. Another aspect as well on the HR is apprenticeships, something that the council is focused on. And I think across the 2 councils, I think I'm right in saying, Mr. Hawke, we have currently got 13 apprentices on the books, which is really good news. IT, of course, is very important for the council. A lot of focus on cyber security during the year. Obviously a very important aspect. The finance team recently migrated to Civica Financials, and I believe that has gone very well. So there's a planned program of moving our systems, our software onto the cloud. Mr. Ward left us during the year, but there was an internal appointment to take his position, and that's worked really well. So we've got continuity in that respect. So that program of improving the resilience of our cyber activity will continue. I think the next one I have to say is assets. Again, you'll be aware of the work that's been done around Kilworthy itself, with the refurbishment of the breakout area, creating a new meeting room, as well, and of course an ongoing monitoring and control of our property assets, our commercial estates as well. That's been very successful. Occupancy rates have been maintained, so that has been correctly managed. And finally, I would say performance reporting. And a lot of work has gone into that particular area this year, and I think now we're in a good position now in terms of what we report and how we report it. We report that to ONS on three times a year, which obviously backs up the delivery plans and the performance across the portfolios, gives members a chance to discuss and challenge, if need be, the performance across the council. And I think now we've got the data in good shape and the reporting progress. So I think that's the points that I need to cover. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor Edmonds. Are there any questions, Councillor Edmonds? No. So, Councillor Jury, we move on to you.
Thank you, Leader. For those that don't know, I'm the lead member for Economy and Jobs here at West Devon Borough Council. I'd like to record my thanks in particular to the Economy team for working extremely hard across the year, doing all that we can to help our economy thrive. I've picked out 6 projects as follows. Firstly, supporting our agricultural and business communities through a wide range of UK Shared Prosperity funded programmes, such as regenerative farming schemes, decarbonisation, general business support, and Rural England Prosperity Fund grant distribution throughout the council area on a number of very diverse schemes. Secondly, and as mentioned by my colleague to my left, offering apprenticeships at West Devon Borough Council to develop future talent and retain skills and provide worthwhile career opportunities within our area. Thirdly, encouraging residents to shop in their local towns in the run-up to Christmas. You may have indeed seen our Christmas promotion, encouraging buying locally and offering free Christmas town centre parking at the end of last year. Next, we supported a team of dedicated volunteers to successfully relaunch Hatherley Market in its new purpose-built premises secured through Section 106 funding. Hatherley was originally granted a market charter in 1220, and the Tuesday Market received a royal charter in 1693 from William and Mary. It's brilliant, in my view, that this institution is able to continue providing an economic and social benefit to Hatherley and its surrounding area with significant help from West Devon. The next item I picked out is lobbying the government following a motion at full council to reconsider its proposal to introduce a 20% agricultural property tax on farm inheritance. We have many small working farms in West Devon, and many of them have expressed concerns about how the next generation of farmers will be able to afford this tax whilst continuing to maintain a viable business. Losing family farms will devastate our rural communities and associated businesses. And finally, supporting the smooth establishment of the Oakhampton Business Improvement District ballot to enable business owners to have their say on the creation of a bid within the town. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Councillor Jury? No? Right, I'm going to go to Councillor Renders and then come back to Mr Hawke for the other two. So, Councillor Renders, please.
Thank you, Leader. I'm going to start by thanking Mr Hawke, actually, and also Mrs Blake, because their help in preparing this has been fantastic, and I do appreciate it. My portfolio is housing, and this is just a very brief update on what's happened over the last 12 months. I've cut a bit of it out. I didn't want to go on for too long, as I sometimes can, so I'm going to start in the summer of 2024. There's a song title there, I'm sure. When the Devon Housing Commission published a report and recommendations for and some challenges for tackling the affordable housing crisis across Devon. Local action has been delivered, that's here, through our housing strategy, Better Homes, Better Lives, and our homeless strategy, which we will be updating later on this year. Some of the work to address the challenges that were highlighted include leading the Devon Housing Task Force, right here was chair of that, and being a founder member of the new Devon Housing Commission, which was a partnership across the Devon councils to address the broken housing market across the whole of Devon, that was. It intimates at creating new housing. One of our top priorities is to create lower cost, high quality homes that our local people need. I'm going to give you a few examples of what we've currently got with that. Current projects or projects that are on the go. Firstly, Lifton. Work has started on creating 16 new energy efficient lower cost homes in Lifton. Working with Plymouth Community Homes, who bought these, of the 16 homes, 10 will be offered for social rent and 6 homes will be made available for shared ownership purchase. Priority, which is another positive and something we push for, will be given to those with a local connection to the area. And we've been working very closely to make, the housing team, to make this happen. I'm going to mention Pilchers Field. We've invested funding and practical support to a scheme which is delivering 5 new assisted supported living homes at the Pilchers Field site in Crapstone. We've been working with the Abbeyfield Buckland Monacorum Society even to expand Pilchers Field so more older people in West Devon can be supported to live as independently as possible in their own homes, and that was a wonderful scheme. Work has also started on the new flats on Plymouth Road in Tavistock, and we're very close to completion on those now. They will be used as temporary accommodation for homeless households, providing quality accommodation for those in need, whilst helping to manage the rising costs associated with people at risk of becoming homeless. I'll also mention the 8 properties that we have, because they're now fully occupied. We bought them through the local area housing fund, and they were therefore to cover temporary accommodation and resettlement. There was 5 of those in Oakhampton, all of which are fully occupied, and 3 in Tavistock. Going forward with those, we've put in bids for some further funds from that, and we are, which I understand are successful, and we are looking at purchasing another 3 houses within the Tavistock area. We've also launched the West Devon housing offer to help local communities deliver lower cost homes in areas that need it the most. There are many individuals and groups in the community who, like us, are passionate about delivering much needed homes across the borough. Our support and funding through the housing offer should help them on that journey by helping communities research and form community housing groups such as community land trusts. Get towards the end of your speech and the computer plays up. Bear with me a second. It's gone off completely, isn't it? I think there was only a couple of bit more on there, but I've just got a white screen in front of me now. But I did put some notes on there, the fact we were working closely with the National Park going forward. Again, trying to address the affordable housing crisis, and we are looking at building and working with our partners to do just that. Massive thank you, like everybody else, to who praise their own portfolios, and mine no differently. So massive thanks to Mrs. Baker and all the team there for all their help. I'll end there. I'm sure there was a bit more, but I've missed it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions, Councillor Renders? No, if I can move to Mr. Hawke now to do the presentation for Councillor Bridgewater and Councillor Mott, please.
Thank you.
I don't know which one you're going to do first, if you could say what they lead on, please.
Thank you, Leader. Tough act to follow there, I think. If we start with the planning and built environment, which is Councillor Mott's portfolio, just some of the key activities taking place during last year. So in February, it was great to see work starting on the Oakhampton interchange with a formal turf cutting ceremony. The interchange is a £15 million railway station on the Dartmoor line, which will improve access for people in West Devon, Torridge and North Cornwall. It will be a hub of all kinds of transport, whether coming or going by car, cycle, bus or train. And it's a scheme that's funded by the Department for Transport with contributions from both West Devon and Devon County Council. It will also bring a wealth of opportunities from the east of Oakhampton, greater access to jobs, education and economic growth through speedier and easier links to other areas. and I believe we're still on track for a summer 2026 opening of that new station. So a significant, probably one of the most significant, if not the most significant, infrastructure project in West Devon in quite a few years. Also during the year, work has started on reviewing conservation area appraisals for Tavistock and Oakhampton. Conservation areas are those of specific architectural and historical interest, deemed worthy of preservation or enhancement. As a council, we're committed to making sure that the conservation areas across the borough are fit for purpose and protect those historical parts of our towns. The Tavistock area review commenced in February, and we'll soon be seeking views on the Oakhampton appraisal. We've also made, looking slightly more internally, but really importantly, throughout the year, we've continued to make really big improvements to our planning service, which is seeing consistently good levels of performance in determining applications on time. I think as Councillor Edmonds says, we've got a pretty good track record in terms of our organisational performance. And that performance has been supported by the introduction of a new software system to help the team and help our residents when they're accessing the system, make it much easier to navigate. So I think, a big thank you to everybody within our planning team and all the stakeholders that fed in their views as to what would make an efficient and effective planning platform. And finally, another project, I mean, there's lots of projects, but a final project in terms of built environment. During the year, we completed the restoration works on stretches of the Tamar Trails with stone donated by Greystone Quarry. And we've also seen a new galvanised bridge installed on the Bedford Trail, which replaced a timber structure, which I think finally surrendered to the weather. So some excellent work from the Tamar Community Trust to reinstate the steps on the steep hillside, which means the Bedford Trail can once again be enjoyed down below the Bedford Sawmills car park. So I think that's a quick summary of some of the built environment activities during the year. Moving on to neighbourhood services, which is Councillor Bridgewater. One of the big achievements during the year and successes is that we secured funding for Parklands Leisure Centre up in Oakhampton to help it improve its energy efficiency. We know that the energy efficiency of swimming pools is incredibly important given the cost and our climate ambitions. And that funding has been used to pay for pool covers and a variable speed filtration system. Please don't ask me what that is. But by making that centre financially resilient and supporting that financial resilience, the facility will be able to enable our residents to participate in sport and leisure activities for hopefully many years to come. During the year, and I might need to defer to Darryl on this one, but we have concluded the Sydenham Damerel Community Governance Review. And for anybody who doesn't know, a community governance review ensures that governance in the area reflects the identities and interests of the community in that area, is effective and convenient. I think that's a summary of a community governance review, unless there's anything to add on that, Darryl, but that has concluded. And overall, neighbourhood services, I mean, we've continued to deliver a range of frontline services, key frontline services, as well as the core activities that our residents would expect us to deliver. The team have offered enhanced services during the year, including ahead of Remembrance Day, when the team undertook a cleaning of war memorials across the borough, including Beardsley, BF and Golworthy. So again, I think hats off to our frontline services teams for getting out there and actually not just delivering the things we'd always expect them to deliver, but to actually go one step further and make enhancements to key facilities across the area and assets such as war memorials. So I think that's a quick summary, and hopefully I've done it justice for our lead members who aren't here today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hawke. I have to say, I didn't know about the cleaning of the war memorials, and I think that is really, really good. It's so important to so many people, and as we educate young people of the past, then to see these war memorials kept alive and things is just so important, especially in village and hidden away locations. So thank you everyone for that. Councillor Jury.
Sorry, not a question, but an additional little point to add to the last section. Sydenham Damerel Parish Council is now no more. It ceased its existence as of the 1st of April, and the first parish meeting is happening on Thursday. So They're not hanging about. We're getting down there and we're getting the community organised on Thursday to provide the governance that they said they wanted. So that's all happening, and thank you to the team for that.
That's great news, Councillor Jury. Thank you. Right, I'd like to thank you all for doing that. I know there's not a huge audience here today, but I think it's really important that people get to see what we're all doing, but also each other, because we tend to stay focused on whatever project is of the moment when we get together and meet as the hub with the senior leadership team, and then the hub briefing meetings about that. And just to add to that, the hub SL senior leadership team meetings are about things that we would like to take forward as a council. So that is the start of the process of getting to this meeting with reports. So for anybody who's listening, we'll just fill them in completely now on what the hub, etc. does. Councillor Moody.
Thank you, Leader. I'd just like to say that I've been on the council for 13 years, and I think this is the first time we've had an update from each of the officers, each of the lead members, and I think it's a fantastic opportunity for us to blow our trumpet from the highest hill, and it just illustrates to the public how professional we are, and what a brilliant job we are doing, and we take our portfolios really seriously and work hard at them. And I'm really touched by what I've heard today. It's nice as a lead member to hear the other lead members saying good things about their portfolios. But thank you.
I should imagine actually it's been a slight education for us all to actually know exactly what we all do, but what projects we've had going forward. And, you know, if we do this again next year, you know, we can see how we're moving forward and taking the council with us, particularly as we go forward with the sword of Damocles hanging over us for local government reorganisation. Right, that word's mentioned, and that's the end of that subject. So, moving on to item 8 of the agenda, page 15. Oh, sorry, there was a recommendation. See, we'd all enjoyed it that much. So if we could all note ourselves then, please. So is everybody happy to note to self? Mr. Hawke, you happy with your two? Yes, so thank you very much for coming along, Mr. Hawke. Very much appreciated. So, right, now we've done that bit. So if we move to page 15 of the agenda, Mr. Shears is coming to join us. So, Councillor Jury, if we could take forward the proposed approach to delivering the UK Shared Prosperity Fund, referred to as the UK SPF, in the 2025-26 financial year. Thank you. Oh, look at you lot all huddled together. I was going to just say, yes, I think that is what springs to mind. Yes, shared. Right, Councillor Jury.
Thank you, Leader, and I'm pleased to introduce the report on the proposed approach to delivering the UK Shared Prosperity Fund in the 2025-26 financial year. For the coming year, West Devon has been allocated £259,000 through the UK SPF, a lower figure than previous years, but still a significant opportunity to deliver real targeted benefits to our communities. Our proposal builds directly on the strong performance of our 24-25 programme, which supported over 300 organisations and delivered over 500 outcomes. Activities range from decarbonisation support for businesses and communities, to regenerative farming and agri-innovation, and the development of active travel infrastructure. Thanks to this success, we've received positive early feedback from MHCLG's appointed consultants, who've been conducting an evaluation of both South Hams and West Devon's delivery. They've described our work as a really positive programme, and we expect a formal report to be available over the summer, following submission of our final monitoring return. At that point, I propose this report be shared with members, perhaps through a briefing session, to ensure we're all informed of the outcomes and best practices highlighted. It's also worth noting that our programme governance is robust. We circulated an audit report, and that confirms a substantial assurance rating with no recommendations for change. This is a strong endorsement of both our delivery and our internal controls. Looking ahead, we plan to continue delivery in line with 3 previously agreed themes: regenerative farming and agricultural innovation, including award-winning training programmes and on-farm innovation pilots; business and community decarbonisation, which has already supported over 50 local organisations to develop carbon reduction plans; and a new focus on the visitor economy, following data showing a decline in visitor numbers and spend, a key sector in need of revitalisation. We'll be making our impact more visible. An interactive Power BI map is currently in development, and once final project payments have been made, this will be shared with members, we expect by the end of this month. It will allow you to explore the reach and impact of funded projects across the borough. Finally, members may recall that last year's UK SPF funding was received directly by districts, and our plans were agreed with MHCLG. This year, funding has been routed through the Devon Combined County Authority, who have opted to pass on the funding pro rata to districts, with a specific request that we continue the successful and approved programmes already in place. This is both a recognition of our achievements to date and a vote of confidence in our delivery model. In summary, we believe this approach allows us to maximise value, maintain momentum, and deliver real local benefits efficiently and effectively. Very happy to take any questions that anyone may have regarding the circulated paper.
Councillor West, you went first.
Thank you for the report. I do welcome the fact that we are continuing to look at the business and household carbon deregulation. I think it will fit in very nicely with the HUG scheme, which I know it's related to, and as we've got the funding for that for the next 3 years, it will really give us an extra start on that to get that moving. I'm just when I look at it, some of the numbers are impressive. Have you any idea of the scale and where those have been across West Devon? Are they particularly located in one particular place, or are they more evenly spread across the council area?
Thank you. Yeah, there's quite a wide spread. I think Mr. Shears can talk in more detail about some of the activities that have taken place.
Yeah, so the Power BI map that's being developed at the moment will show the distribution of the different grants that we've awarded over the past sort of 15 to 18 months, and that does show a pretty even spread across the whole borough. So there's no real areas that are sort of missing from that. There are small pockets in Tavistock and Oakhampton, as you'd probably expect, but at the same time we've gone out of our way to make sure that the other towns of Hatherley, North Taunton and Chagford have each received significant grant funding to their areas, and also some of our more rural areas have received funding as well. For example, Lifton area and other sort of the more rural parts of the borough, so including Princetown as well. So yeah, and that's reflective of our wider programme and how it's been delivered.
I'm glad to see that, because obviously it's a very mixed, we've got rural into urban and trying to get that spread, and obviously the regenerative farming is something which I think is an exciting move forward and where we need to go in the future from a farming point of view. So thank you for that.
Councillor Elliott.
Yes, so I'd like to thank you very much for a good report, and it was also helpful to have the further information provided just before the meeting. So I noted the snapshot of the BI map, and it will be good to be able to interrogate that. And indeed, it is very impressive just how widespread the support is across West Devon. It really did surprise me, so that's great. The thing that I suppose I'm concerned about is what's going to happen in the future, because it does seem strategically important to spend this sort of, if it is the last 259,000 in the wisest way, and clearly it is very prudent to continue to invest in existing schemes. But I would love to just have a little bit more detail about the sort of sunsetting of the programme and ways that money could be spent to make businesses more resilient or to leverage in money for the future. But I suppose I'm speaking slightly in the dark here because it may be the end of the UK Shared Prosperity Fund, but I don't know if you've got any whispers on the ground as to whether there's going to be similar funding in the future. So it will be great to have that evaluation report in the summer and a briefing, but I also wonder whether we can come back to this in a future hub, maybe in September or at the end of the year, because this is quite a significant area of work within West Devon, and I'd really love to be involved in the sort of decision making and learning from not just the successes, but the whole process and any near failures from the past as well. So those are my main questions. The other thing that is really left field that I just wanted to put out there, and I think I know the answer to this, but we're being bombarded on the media at the moment with the fact that the world has completely changed and we're in the middle of an enormous trade war. Now, I'm assuming that that's not going to have a huge impact on businesses in West Devon, but that may just show my ignorance about how global West Devon is as a player. So if there's any comments on that, either within this meeting or afterwards, that would be great. But, you know, ways of supporting business at this time of uncertainty. So sorry, that's quite a lot from me, but I'm really interested. Thank you.
Jane would be disappointed if it was anything less. The second you use the word interrogated, I always feel sorry for the officers. I think Andy would like to go first and then you guys pick up. So if Mr. Bates, Chief Exec, could now speak.
So thank you. Two fantastic questions. And you must have been reading my mind because earlier this morning I was having a conversation with with Chris and with Lisa about exactly how we are going to continue to be able to afford to fund this programme going forward. It's one of the council's clear priorities, and we have a plan. So we have a plan which should see the programme being able to continue for the whole of this year, through the following year, and potentially, depending on some decisions to be made around the council's future allocation of resources, through the year after that. So effectively 3 years worth of continuing activity built around the economy theme, which I'm delighted about. We will have to work through the detail of that, but I'm confident that we will be able to continue. I completely agree with you. I mean, we have very good mechanisms for evaluating the UK SPF programme in terms of its performance against the government's funding criteria, and the evaluation by the internal audit absolutely confirms that. But I think we do need to have that broader conversation, and I'm sure that that's what's intended, to learn the lessons from the successes and perhaps some of the opportunities that we could have pursued, and we should do that in order to inform our programme going forward. So I'm confident that is the plan, but I will let those who are expert pick up the pick up the point at this point, if I may.
Thank you. That's very insightful. I'll do my best to answer the queries that you raised, Councillor Elliott, and my colleague here, I'm sure, will leap in with his insight as well. I suppose on the point of the general economy, I don't think any of us really know what the effect is likely to be, other than it does look as though a global recession may be on the cards, and that is bound to affect the economy generally. Quite how that manifests itself in a rural area such as West Devon, I think, is difficult to see, particularly when we are reliant so much on sectors of the economy such as tourism and hospitality. If people are tightening their belts, then maybe there's less spending in that area. It might mean that people don't go abroad and they come back on holiday in the West Country again. So, you know, there could be a potential benefit. There may be a potential benefit in terms of local food supplies and people buying more locally. But I think the overall effect at this stage is difficult to see, other than it's going to be difficult. And I'm sure that many of our small businesses will struggle. And as I think you quite rightly said, be in need of some assistance in terms of becoming a bit more robust and sustainable. So that's why I think it's important that we're around. In terms of the future funding, the government has made a policy decision, it seems, that there will be a national business support programme put in place. But at the moment, as far as I'm aware, there's no indication of what that programme is going to be or how much funding it's likely to have. British Libraries, I know through DCMS, are making a pitch to be the arbiters of information in this area and to host some of the information that could be given out to small businesses. They already run a programme through their BIPC arm, so that may continue. But I think for other providers, the future is looking difficult. We've already had a company that some of you may have come across before, the DR company, the Devon Renaissance company, which has closed because of lack of funding to deliver the sorts of programs that it was engaged in delivering. So I think, in summary, the situation is difficult, and my view is that it would be really helpful if West Devon were able to continue to provide levels of support. I think there is a need for that support out in the market, and if we can find a way of delivering some of that support, I think it will benefit our economy and perhaps lessen the blow of a worldwide recession a little. Is there anything you want to add to that, Chris?
Just to note that looking at the economic impact on West Devon of previous recessions, for example, West Devon has fared quite resiliently. So you know, we would be mindful of making sure that our business community is supported, but we know that we've got a very resilient business community when it comes to recessions. So just as a example statistic, so unemployment rates when there was the 2008 recession was still less than half the national average. So yeah, and you know, you're talking about 1 to 2% compared to where the nation went, which was about 5 to 6%. So yeah.
So thanks very much for such full answers. And can I just reiterate, it would be lovely to have this on the agenda in the future as well, because I think it's such an important area. Thank you.
Councillor Renders, please.
Thank you. Just wanted to say, well done, good report, enjoyed reading it. And obviously as a small rural business owner myself, it's really nice to see that we're not just concentrating on the bigger towns, the bigger cities, and the fact that we are going out and also looking at rural areas. We are a big rural borough, and of course it's really heartwarming. My question is simple: how in the hell did you get Terry Hurst to smile? He never smiles. He's in a picture here smiling. When I get back, I'm going to ask that same question. So. It must be you, Councillor Drury, did something doing there.
There's probably an answer that involves grant funding, but and a contractual obligation.
You bought his smile. Okay, it's fine.
Right. I'm just going to move your recommendations for you, Councillor Drury, because the Chief Exec would like to add one. Oh, hang on, Councillor Edmund.
I did have one question before we get to that point, and Chris, I'm very grateful for the funding that you supported us with for 2 really good projects in Lifton. I think that came from the Community Resilience Fund, which is part of the Shared Prosperity Fund. And I'm just wondering whether this year's allocation includes that Resilience Fund, and if it does, I'll start looking for another project.
So to just give you an identification of the sort of timescales involved in moving forward programs like UKSPF, that funding was kind of announced over the Christmas period. The combined authority approached us late January for an initial meeting, expecting us to have our programme in place for the start of this financial year. So to turn around a programme in that time is quite restrictive in terms of the flexibility that you can apply to it. And just to say that the grant programme that we've had has been funded through the Rural England Prosperity Fund. Government have allocated 1.8 million of that to the combined authority, and we've got our initial meeting with them on Friday to discuss how we could take that forward. But that initial discussion is already 2 weeks into the new financial year, with an expectation that the money would be spent by the end of this financial year. So the timescales again for moving these programmes forward are incredibly tight. But we're hopeful that we will get some funding from it.
I have to say that seems to be the way of things with the CCA, because the money that came down from government, the 16 million that was spent in Devon, all had to be spent by the end of the last financial year before the CCA was officially signed off. You know, that didn't even make sense, that you're spending money for an organisation that's not even constituted. So that did leave the Chief Exec and I wondering. But I didn't realise that was going to be their almost like preferred way forward. The only reason I can see for it actually being that tight, and the Chief Exec may correct me if I'm wrong, is because the CCA is not here to stay. It is only a temporary body until we get the strategic mayoral devolution deal done. And as we know, Cornwall don't want to talk to us yet. They're not ready. So who knows what they'll be after the election. It could be 10 times worse, or they actually could come to the table. Nobody knows. But I think that is why there is this tightness around dates, because I think the CCA is officially at the moment only due to be here for 2 years before it becomes this new body with the elected mayor. So I don't know whether Andy wishes to correct any of that.
Well, I think despite the government's intention to move to multi-year funding streams for local government, we haven't quite got there yet. So I think that the Rural England Prosperity Fund is probably in the same line as the UK SBF, which is there is a requirement for it to be spent within defined financial years, which means it's a bit stop-start, which makes it complicated. What I would say is, given our track record of delivery and delivering impact for our communities through both the Rural England Prosperity Fund and UK SBF allocations, I'm delighted that the combined authority made the decision to passport that money to the district. I think we are best placed to make the decisions about where it can have the greatest impact, and I would like to think that a similar approach would be taken with the Rural England Prosperity Fund. So I'm hopeful that they will take a pragmatic approach about building on the programme that has happened last year, just gone. Coming to the recommendations, Leader, if I may.
Right. If I move 1 and 2, and the Chief Exec will put forward item 3, because Mr. White doesn't have a clue yet.
So it's certainly not my place to add recommendations or make amendments to reports. But I think the general mood of the meeting was that whilst we've had an update on the UK SBF fund specifically today, you would welcome a wider update on the work of the economy team as a whole. So I'd like to recommend that we do bring a report back on that with some detail of the work programme for the team over the next couple of years. And as part of that, we'll look at the success of the programme and opportunities for future years. So if you're in agreement, Leader, I'd like to recommend we add that into the list of recommendations, or words to that effect.
Okay, to do it properly then, we will let Mr. White type it in, and then we will read it out as a member reading it. And then we're all legal, and Mr. Fairbairn will not need to stop us in our tracks. While we're waiting, I'd just like to say, with the world situation as it is, one would have thought they would have actually got rid of LGR and devolution for a while and focused on the people who are really, and the industries that are really going to need help going forward, instead of wasting money on LGR. But that is just my personal view, and I'm sure shared by many others.
While Mr. White is typing, can I just add something that doesn't need to be formally recorded? But I suppose I've been used to being in organisations where occasionally things go really badly wrong. And then when things go badly wrong, you have a lessons learned. But I would really like to see us learning lessons from when things have just gone a bit wobbly, if I can put it like that. And I suppose with all of our programmes, I don't believe that you don't do wobbly. I'll say that out loud. We all do wobbly. We all make slight mistakes, or they're not even mistakes, but we try something and it doesn't work. People don't come to a meeting or a workshop, or they just don't engage. And I think it would be, having heard about the successes from last year, I think it is really important to celebrate success. But in these next few years, given times are tough, I think we owe it to ourselves to be really honest about when things aren't perfect and what we can learn from that. So I'd really like to see that sort of spirit within number 3 here, but throughout our portfolios.
Mr. Shears.
If I may then suggest that that might be worth taking place after we've received the evaluation from MHCLG on the programme.
Yes, the Chief Exec's thinking of the autumn. Right, so we have a new recommendation that the Hub Committee, number 3, requests that an update on the work of the Council's economy team be formally presented to a future meeting of the Hub Committee that includes an indicative work programme for the team over the next couple of years. Is everybody happy with that? Right. May I see, sorry, Councillor Jury, would you like to then propose this?
Yes, can I move the motion as recorded on the screen? There are 3 elements to it, and I suggest we take them all en bloc.
I'm happy to second that. Sorry, Mr. Gardner, my microphone's off. Right. So if I could, if there's any debate, anybody? No? May I see all those in favour?
That's 6 in favour of the 3 recommendations. Thank you.
And 1 abstention.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
With 1 abstention. Thank you.
If we can move on to pages now. So if we move on to item 9, which is private sector housing update, page 27 to 46 of the agenda. Mr. Sexton, if you'd like to come forward, thank you. And Mr. Shears, thank you very much for attending. Councillor Renders, would you like to begin?
Thank you. You have before you a very positive report which gives an update on private sector housing. It gives an insight into the achievements of our private sector housing team over the last 12 months in delivering home improvement interventions to those in our community who need it the most. Its author, Dave Sexton, is here with us today along with Ian Luscombe, should anyone have any questions. The executive summary outlines our aims and goals guided by the delivery plan. It provides background covering special grants that were available, i.e. the Home Upgrade Grant, HUG, Disabled Facilities Grant, which was the DFG. It mentions the support we give to landlords and government legislation. The paper concludes with next steps and advises of our successful application for the next version of the Home Upgrade Grant Scheme, which will be known as Warmer Homes Local Grant. Leave it open for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Renders. Does anybody have any questions, please, for Councillor Renders or Mr Sexton? Renters Reform Bill will cause a few questions when it finally does where it's meant to be. Councillor Elliott, please.
So this is a really positive report, and I'm aware that it hasn't been possible to do quite as many home upgrade grants this year as had been hoped because it was a very stretching target. But just in a way, for those who might be listening out there in the ether, it would be lovely just to hear a little bit more perhaps from you, Mr Sexton, about what some of the challenges are of actually delivering these home upgrade grants. Because it's easy for us to talk about acronyms and hugs and numbers, but you're one of the people that really has to make this work on the ground and perhaps could just give a little insight into what that's meant and what some of the difficulties have been, or maybe your greatest success. That would be lovely. Thank you.
Go for it, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely no problem with that. Literally been crunching the numbers this morning, well, around over lunchtime. Where we are in West Devon is that today 38 homes should be upgraded this year. We're at very much a manic stage of trying to finish off lots of properties, which means that on spending on measures, we'll be spending in West Devon £770,000. And when I add on we call it A&A, so it's auxiliary and admin costs, which includes our costs, includes the community group costs, and also some enabling, and I've mended gutters, we've mended this, we've mended that. We'll probably be dropping around the £900,000 mark. I can't give you a precise figure because it's very, very fluid at the moment. It has been for the last month or two. We've managed to get essentially extensions. We've had about, I'm not sure how, I haven't broken down in West Devon, but it's about 30 odd across the 2 districts, is that we've gone into people's homes, started work, and I can give you an example. We found a rat infestation in the loft, and in fact, oh crikey, we found broken asbestos, and what have you. One person went on holiday, stuff like that. So we had to go to government and said that we've started the work, the thing's been booked, and we've not been able to complete for whatever reason. So that was a real, yeah, we managed to do that. And our contractor CCS have pulled out really quite a few stops to get a lot of it done. So the challenges we have it's complex, but I think I could probably summarise it in a couple of areas. We've not been afraid of going after hard-to-treat properties. Some people think actually we've just picked low-hanging fruit. Let's do a bit of solar panels here and a bit. We haven't done that. Looking through these figures, we've done a lot of whole house retrofit, and as we've used the community energy groups to find the clients or the residents, those are the people presenting to them already in need. So we've had a combination of challenging properties and challenging residents. We've got residents with quite severe vulnerability, maybe mental health, physical health, elderly, stuff like that. We have not shied away from them. We've tried our best to help them. We've had people, like I said, pull out at the last minute. Even today, we've had ones where they're literally going to put the solar panels on the roof. Went up there because you can't really do a survey until you're going to get up there and thinking, no, that roof can't handle it. So we've had to now rewrite the quote for that property. So it is very complex. We've used, I said, community energy groups. We were finding those residents. Also, we were using a company which is not based down here. In an ideal world, yeah, I would love to have a company that's based in Devon, but with local government procurement and the government rules about who we can use. And I've got everything I do is double and triple, feels like quadruple checked by government. I can't do anything. Every property has to be approved by them. there are rules around how much we can do. So they've split it into A, B and C categories for measures. So I can do what I like, as many as I like with loft insulation and air source heat pumps. When it comes to doors and night storage heaters, I can only do 10%. They restricted park homes to 10%. So trying to manage all that into a programme and do the best we sort of can, yeah, it has been that real challenge. And that's where I've got a project officer called Helen, and she does it all for me. It's like, Helen, what can I have those fixed for this? Yeah, it's there, it arrives and stuff like that. Or I need this, worry on that. She's been the conduit from the project to the installer to government. And yeah, it's just a wealth of spreadsheets and trying to keep, we can account to the penny about where we spent stuff and what we've done it, any change requests. So anything, even if we have the slight change. So for instance, all the work has to be signed off to something called PAS 2035 standard. So this is a sort of, one of a better word, like a building regulation. This is what all installs, all retrofits got to meet. And we have someone called a retrofit coordinator who signs that off and is here to nitpick. Today we had a 10-minute conversation because trickle vents, you're not allowed trickle vents now in kitchens. So CCS have sealed it and taken a photograph. He goes, well, I don't know if that's sealed or not. Well, it is. Well, I don't know that. So that's how nitpicking, that's the nth degree, which gives me the assurance that that works to the right standard. But also, like, we've got to do air tightness tests on quite a few properties, and he didn't realise we had to do a few more, so we had to go back into the batches, which is government approved, to change it all. So the administration behind it is absolutely massive.
Well, I think I'll just come back to you in a minute. Councillor Daniel, please.
Thank you, Chair. Actually, I want to pass on my thanks from a resident. She'd recently had an upgrade on her home, and as you described, it took a lot longer and it was much more complex than imagined. But she said, I'm so grateful. It's the first time I've ever been warm in my own home. So I just want to say, that's somebody that came up to me and passed on her thanks and wanted me to thank you and your team, Dave. Thank you.
That's brilliant, because that leads neatly into where I was going to go. A huge thanks to Helen and the team, to yourself, and I'll give some thanks to Mr. Luscombe, because he is the boss after all, but for driving this project forward. As we know, you haven't managed to achieve as many as we hoped for all sorts of varying reasons, but actually this is a true success story, and we need to remember that. And once you finish with your nitpicking inspector, when you sit down and look at it, you know that working for West Devon, you have delivered on a really good job, well done. And if you've got somebody saying it's the first time, and I should imagine most of these residents that you're looking after have been in the houses for decades, because they are naturally the ones that don't come forward. For somebody to say it's the first time they've been warm in their home, that is an incredible thing that this project has delivered, because it's always, as I say, if you change, the signage or the speeds on the road, if it saves one person, that's all that matters. And this is the same sort of thing, but instead of they're being warm in their own home, they've got modern facilities in their home. I have a slight question. When we've done some of the work that we've done, and some of it is some of this in housing association properties as well, or is it all in private individuals' properties?
Barring one property, all private. That one is a private landlord, because they've got to pay 30%. Now, social housing got their own funding. It's called the Social Housing Decarbonisation Fund. So yeah, I steer well clear of that one. And
I would if I were you. But thank you very much. And if you could take back, and Mr. Luscombe take back, the thanks of the Hub, particularly to Helen and to the team who've coordinated, probably got very frustrated at times with Tamar Community Energy, and trying to get everybody in a row. Mr. Luscombe.
Thank you, Leader. If I may come in, I think it is good news upon good news, because what David hasn't said but says in the report is that we secured £1.6 million worth of funding over the next 3 years. That will be a minimum amount, because I think if we can prove the success of the project that we set up, there will be more money available to draw down from government in future years. And I think, again, one of the successes of this project is that we've gone from a cold start, and David and his team have set up a procurement system and a supply system which will enable us to roll straight into the next 3-year programme. So it's a huge achievement for him and the team, and brought a huge amount of support into West Devon, where we can continue to help our more vulnerable residents.
I would hope that actually, and I know there's not a lot of members here, but something we could perhaps put in the members' bulletin is that actually, you know, as Councillor Daniel has just said, she knows of a person in her village and things like that. I am sure we all know of Mrs. Miggins, as I always call her, where she lives in probably all of our villages, and even in the towns and things like that, where we could help an individual or a couple to be able to actually have some warmth in their homes when the heating bills and utilities are just going up so much that they are not looking after themselves because they can't afford to do so. And a scheme like this prevents some of that happening. So I think if you, when you know that you're open to looking for more homes, it might be worth putting it in the members' bulletin, and somebody may think, yes, so-and-so in the village needs, you know, probably some help. Councillor West.
Thank you, Leader. I've got 2 questions. But before that, congratulations. I mean, we've had discussions about David a lot, and I think it's really brilliant. And I know that 1.6 million or whatever is a reflection of the work that's gone on and recognition of the work that you're doing within West Devon, which is fantastic. However, we know there's a lot of homes out there that need this, and I think you've done remarkably well to get what you've got with the 41. Have you got any idea of targets going forward? Because as Ian said, we're in a position now whereby we've got systems and things in place, which means that we're not going in cold. We've got things there which we can build on. So have you any ideas, had any conversations about sort of targets going forward as we move forward? Bearing in mind, I know, as you've already said, some places it's how long is a piece of string sometimes when you get on site. And my other question then is, monitoring of impact. Are there going to be any studies of the impact of these upgrades have had in terms of the amount of decarbonisation, the savings to the individuals, that sort of thing, going forward? Because I think that's be a valuable part of this, and it's more evidence of the impact of what we've been doing.
Yeah, no problem. Target-wise, it's the warmer home side of thing is slightly different. It's the same, but it's a lot different, if that makes sense. Under HUG, we are told how many properties, or you've been given money to do X amount of properties. Under warmer homes, we're given money, allocated amount of money, and it's up to us how we use that. So we can go simple, or we can go complex. To carry on from Councillor Elliott's comments from earlier, we've looked at the wobbles. We are looking. You know, we are learning. It's been one steep learning curve, the HUG. And we're taking those learnings forward from working with the installer, working with the coordinator, working with the community groups. So obviously it's government money, so it comes with government rules. And my target is to spend as quickly as possible, so that I'm knocking on the door of government as quick as possible. I was on a call yesterday, a national call with all the other project leads and stuff like that. And some councils think, well, we might do our MOU by summer, we might do it by the autumn. Mine's already done. I'm already going to do my delivery assurance check in 2 weeks' time. My contractor's installed, and I want to be starting in May, basically. And that's what I've told. So to get us going as quickly as we can, and to do as much as we can. So we don't have a overriding target, because again, it's very difficult because the housing data is not great. So we've got to use something like energy performance certificates, which are good. bad, and some don't even have them, so there's a lot of extrapolation and modelling. So again, and also when the warm homes is now brings on gas. Hug was just off gas exclusive. Now we've got on gas now, so we're not proposing to rip out gas central heating or anything like that, but we'll be enhancing these properties probably with solar panels, more insulation, that kind of stuff. But very much probably a fabric first approach. Regards to monitoring, yes, there will be. I've already started collecting, so we do every job we do has a pre-EPC and a post-EPC, so I can contrast and compare. It will have figures in there regarding CO2 savings. Interestingly enough, I started doing that, and because there's such a fluctuation in energy prices, a couple of properties were more expensive to run than there was to start with, but since their previous, because it's like 10 years ago some of these EPCs were done. But we'll find a meaningful way to report that. Also, we're speaking to our comms team. Admittedly it was South Hams, but we will be doing the same in West Devon, that one of our first clients, as it were, who got an install over the last summer, we're going back to him to say, how are you getting on? And part of that, I alluded to under the PAS 2035, there is evaluation and monitoring in there as well. My plan is I want them to have we call it a heating cycle, i.e. a winter. So the people getting help today will go back in a year's time and say, how are you getting on? And stuff like that. Like I said, hopefully we get the anecdotal, a bit of quantitative data to say, actually, this is what we've actually saved, and the qualitative, I feel a lot warmer in my home. So again, there'll be reports. I think what I'm looking for is reports every year to say this is how we're doing, because then warm homes is a 3-year project, hopefully 5, depending on what government's decision is. But again, it's to spend as much as I can, really.
That's great to hear, thank you. And well done for your enthusiasm in a difficult area and that. And let's hope they do extend it for a further couple of years after that, because it is having impact and that's what we want to see. So thank you for that. Thank you.
So just a quick, from government's point of view, I've been to Whitehall for a couple of meetings, and nationally, Hug has been a challenge, and local authorities were not say told off, but we were sort of saying why, the department was saying why you're not delivering, and then we talked about saying it's your rules, basically. We're now talking, and we're now having more, so there's more understanding what central government is and what local government is, and it gave me real insight into Treasury is boss of government, and it's their rules. But basically, from Warmer Homes' point of view, it's down to the council to deliver nationally. If we deliver nationally our target, we've only got £500 million to spend, so we should be able to get that over the line quite quickly. If we're delivering, then we've got a chance of getting more and more money. But again, I'll do my bit in my little corner. But like I said, it's down to Plymouth, Cornwall as well, and incidentally, we've got more money than Plymouth. And only £70,000 less than Cornwall.
How much, sorry?
£70,000 less than Cornwall. That's our settlement for going forward. And Devon got 5.5 million, and obviously they got 7. Their project's got 7 districts. We've got 2. So I was very disappointed to start with when I got the 500, so the 3.3 million. But then actually, when I realised the context of it, I was a lot more happier.
Good, because it's not a competition, Mr. Sexton. May I just ask, though, getting slightly competitive, if we're doing so well and, for example, the year's spend is not spent nationally, can they come back to us and say, well, actually, you're delivering really well, would you like some more money, and could you get that spent?
So the director of the department said there's 3 options for that. Yeah, that's one of them. They say that we'll take the underspend from other warmer homes, local grant projects. 2 is they'll look at the council, look at the department in a wider context for underspend. So again, social housing, decarbonisation fund, social housing may have enough now and stuff like that, and said we've done all our easy bits or not, and decide not to do anything more. Or third option, the scary one, going back to Treasury and asking for more money, which I think probably been a more challenge. But no, that's my plan. Is basically, if there's money not being spent, I want to try my best to get out of it.
But it's not a competition. Mr. Luscombe, you need to look after him. Getting competitive with Cornwall. We're trying to make friends with them, Mr. Sexton. We would like them to come and join us with a strategic mayor. So we can't have competitions. Good, that's what I would like. Right, so the recommendation for that is up on the screen, and it is for noting the achievements of the private sector housing team in delivering home improvement interventions to those in our community who need it most. May I have a proposer, please?
Happy to propose, but also to say thank you again to Dave. And it was great to see, as Councillor West said, his enthusiasm is amazing on this one. So happy to propose.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to second. I have to say Mr. Sexton has always been enthusiastic in his job. Him and Mr. Luscombe have been here nearly as long as each other. And actually followed a double act before you, didn't you? With Nick. So right, all those in favour, please.
That's unanimous. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you. And I now need to exclude the press and public. Please, Mr. Gardner.
That's carried to move into part 2. Thank you, Leader.
We've moved back into part one and we have resumed the meeting formally. I would like to thank everybody for their attendance today. Oh, Councillor Oxborough's gone. I was going to give him a thank you for being there for the meeting. But thank you everyone for coming along. Thank you to Councillor Daniel and Councillor Cunningham. I was going to call you Buckingham. Cunningham for attending as well. Thank you, members. The meeting is closed.